Hello, one and all. Welcome to the Matchbook Horse Racing podcast. It's another day. It is the 6th of January. We're building up to the first weekend in January. Well, no, that's not true because it was Saturday the 1st, wasn't it? So that's a good start, everyone. We are live. But anyway, we're building up to the second weekend in January.
Morning, Tom.
Who'd have thought I'd present for a living? It's just terrifying, isn't it? Nat Green is with us. How are you?
Better than you, by sounds it. No, good.
Oh, God. Adele Mulrennan, how are you? You've got now, for anyone that's listening on the podcast and not watching, more for you because we're in another room in Adele's house.
Another one, yeah. Another one fully decorated. All done now, so fingers crossed, no more to do. No more decorating. It's me done.
It looks lovely. And Sam Turner's Mr. Consistent. I know that room very well. Which sounds not personally.
New memorabilia though, Tom.
What's that?
1953, 1954 Wolves team. That signatures, Billy Wright, Ron Flowers.
Superb.
Peter Broadbent, all the special players.
Before you were born though, Sam?
Just before I was born, yeah. So thanks for saying that. Most people would have said, how old were you when you saw that team?
I was going to say, yeah. Did you get the autographs personally? Yeah, no, I know you.
Yeah.
Was it a Christmas present?
Sorry, Del.
Was it a Christmas present?
To myself, yeah. Because I used to have a shirt, obviously, as you used to see, Diogo Jota, but he foolishly went to join Liverpool. So that was burnt ceremoniously in the garden. A crop of Wolves fans all came round and lit fire to it. So I had to get something that was timeless, really. Bit like Steve Jones's Gilet. So yeah, that's what's replaced it.
Yeah, Steve Jones's racing badges that hang from the beams in his Cotswold home. As Dave says, Sam subliminally boasting about Monday night where Wolves beat Manchester United. Quite right too.
Drop that in. Yeah, absolutely.
Right, horse racing. We'll get to the previews very shortly, but first of all, a reminder of insights.matchbook.com for a recap of all the bets that exist for all the sports. So all the football bets, the NFL bets, and our horse racing bets. Get to insights.matchbook.com for a recap of all the horses we put up and indeed our best bets. And if you do like our content, it makes all the difference if you're on YouTube that you give this video a like and you can subscribe for free. And if you're listening on the podcast, follow on your preferred podcast app and do give us a review, good or bad, but mainly good, obviously, because it helps us and helps the pod as well. Right, let's get into the previews for the second Saturday in January. We're going to start with the Grade 1 for this weekend, which is the 225. It is the Tolworth Novices Hurdle. And it's not all that competitive a renewal, I think it's fair to say. 1.45 is Constitution Hill. Jetol is 9.0. Mr. Glass is 9.0. Shall we have one more is 10.0. That's all right. Gino 13.0. WizKid is the outsider of the bunch at 41.0. Let's have a look at who people fancy here then. Well, I suppose Constitution Hill is obvious. Adele and Natalie, I know you're keen, but I don't know how keen you are from a betting perspective, if that's sort of price. But how would you approach the race, Adele?
I was trying to look at something to back without him, but I couldn't quite decide on just one other one. So I'm just going to stick with him. And we know he made a sparkling debut there over course and distance. He jumped well. He showed a lovely turn of foot. I think Jetwal, a few of them have obviously got a little bit more experience than him, but you couldn't really have asked for anything more than from him that day. And I just thought maybe Jetwal might go forward and try and set maybe like a strong pace, which I think will suit Shall We Have One More. But I just think he's going to have too much class for these horses. I really do. So I'm going to have him on side. I couldn't quite find the one I wanted to go with him, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. There is the without market, and Sam and I are going to play in that market. Nats, what do you want to add to thoughts on Constitution Hill?
How long have you got? How long can the pod be? No, just loads of stuff I love.
59 minutes, 59 seconds.
I'm a real daydreamer. I live in like La La Land, and I love to see these horses that I hope are going to be our future superstars. All the story behind this horse. Like one of my favourite quotes from Nicky, the most extraordinary creature I've come across in years. He will go back to his stable and go to sleep now. You know, Barry Geraghty bought him as a yearling and he went just point to point. Barry obviously then got on the phone to Michael Buckley. They've had good rapport in the past with obviously successful horses and said, you know, buy this. And I think Nicky had kind of said, Barry, well, it's so lazy. It's absolutely bone idle at home. And Barry's like, no, wait, you know, it's a good horse. I promise you it's a good horse. And I can't stop watching the replay because, like Adele alluded to, but it was a turn of foot. The way he quickened was incredibly exciting for me anyway, personally. I thought it was absolutely amazing. Also, I've got a little note here. It was a Racing Post rating of 148. It was the highest awarded to any horse on its racecourse debut over hurdles for at least the last 12 years. That's mega, isn't it? Mm. So if we can get excited about a horse, it's Constitution Hill. I love it. I'm excited about it. I can't wait to see it. And then obviously go on chasing. If I've got to pick one, Tom, it will be the Jamie Snowden horse against. I just thought I had a wind up over the summer, won at Fontwell, and then was pretty good at Cheltenham last time.
That's all right, Gino. Just to bring Constitution Hill into sort of supreme betting, I just wonder, well, Nats, first of all, so John Bon is 3.75, also trained by Nicky, who sadly can't find a race for him. Constitution Hill is 6.0. Do you think if Constitution Hill wins this easily, would you consider backing him in the supreme market before this race? Would that be of any interest? Do you think there's a chance that Constitution Hill is a better horse than John Bon?
Not yet. I would side with John Bon. I was really worried when we saw the clip of John Bon before his racecourse debut. You know, when he did the piece of work, he was really sweaty, looked really buzzy. I was like, oh no. But look, he's shown us that that's not a problem. He might be quite a hot-headed type. Sometimes I like it if they can then go and do it on the racecourse, which John Bon has shown. So at the moment, no, I'm going to stick with John Bon. I'm just saying on a not so super Saturday, I love the Tolworth. It's not the best renewal, but this is a horse that I'm just really, really looking forward to seeing. But I don't know, Tom. I'll probably have to have that discussion after Saturday. But at the moment, I'd favour John Bon, if I'm honest.
We're allowed to just talk about the Cheltenham Festival now because January the 1st has been and gone, so it's allowed.
Oh.
Adele, yeah, exactly. Before I come to Sam, Adele, do you have anything to say about this horse in relation to his Cheltenham credentials?
Yeah, well, I'm hoping he's going to boost it on Saturday. Until we kind of see what he does on Saturday. I mean, if he wins like he did on his debut, then I'd be keen to have him back to anti-post, to be honest with you, for it. But again, I'm just gonna have to wait and see what he does on Saturday and see how easily he wins.
I feel like, just to give my 2 P's worth on this, is I think John Bon is always going to head the market as long as he turns up fit and ready, and he's probably not going to run between now and then. I don't know, it seems. But I don't know. I think Constitution Hill is in a way going to be value against him when it comes to Cheltenham. I'm a huge fan of Constitution Hill, and perhaps slightly over John Bon just at those prices with Cheltenham in mind. But let's see what happens on Saturday, because he might not win. Might be testing ground for him. Sam Turner, how are you playing the race? And maybe just pick up with what we've said about Constitution Hill, anything you agree or don't agree with.
Well, yeah, I mean, I must admit, in the early stages of the season, I never thought I'd see a horse that was more hyped than John Bon. And Constitution Hill is probably vying for that tag. Extraordinary that, Nicky didn't have a runner, I don't think, in the Supreme or the Bally or any of the novice hurdles last year, I don't think. And yet he's got the first 2, despite the Irish dominance, despite Willie having a raft of good quality horses, Henry de Bromhead, Gordon Elliott, all having strong novice strings, that Nicky's 2 are dominating the Supreme market. So I think it's good to see for the level of competition going into the festival. What is it, 70 odd days away, that, we have got some strong horses on this side of the Irish Sea. Constitution Hill is obviously right up there on the top of the list for the novice talent that we can boast. So we're looking to see him consolidate his position there. He looks a little bit more straightforward than John Bon, as the girls have alluded to. He's a bit of an edgy type, John Bon. When you've got 70 or 80,000 packed in at Cheltenham with a favourite atmosphere, how's he going to react to that sort of atmosphere? Whereas Constitution Hill probably take it a little bit more in his stride. So if you did want to bet anti-post in the Supreme, then yeah, it might be an idea to just have a little bit on for the Supreme in advance of him running on Saturday. I think there'll be a decent gallop on here. Mr. Glass is obviously in the race. Paul Nicholls will be puffing his chest out, very keen to try and serve it up to Constitution Hill. So I wouldn't have thought he'd be hanging around. There's, Jetoile can be keen and free and exuberant. So I would imagine they'll go a good gallop here. And that just might help. Shall we have one more? Just drop his head a little bit more than he did at Ascot behind Can Do Kid. That race has already thrown up a couple of winners. It was a really good performance, I thought, from Gary Moore's Novice. I mean, he did everything wrong in that race and still looked like winning, was only beaten a length and a quarter in a strong time. Really good performance from him, first time up off the shelf. Hopefully he can settle a little bit better. The ground doesn't become too attritional, perhaps. And although his type of horse, the free-running, quite keen, ebullient type of horse, aren't always great for these markets without the favourite, i.e. you want something that's ridden chilly, that settles and comes and runs through horses late on. Whether he quite fits that category or not, I don't know. But hopefully now the fizz is out of him, 10 weeks on, the Moore team continuing very good order, brilliant team. And I do know this horse is very highly regarded at home. So I'll take a bit of a chance with Shall We Have One More without the favourite.
And that is coincidentally exactly how I'm playing the race. Shall We Have One More without the favourite, who he should definitely get a pace to settle in behind. I mean, I didn't know if they were clearly trying to get him settled last time. I don't think they'll be that chilly with him here. I wonder whether they'll just let him roll on. I don't know. There is plenty of pace on, but the point, I think the most clear point you made, Sam, or the most obvious one to say about his potential is that given what he did early, he sort of had no right to finish second, but he did really well to do that in a good time, as you say. He handled cutting the ground. I thought there was definitely a case for him being overpriced at 11.0, and therefore I'd play him without the favourite, but I can't really see him beating Constitution Hill. But Shall We Have One More to hopefully finish second? So that's how I'm looking to play it. Anything else that you want to say about any horse in here, anyone, or the Tolworth, or shall we move on? Good. Right. On we go to Wincanton. So we're going back in time, starting at the top of the ITV cards. This is the interesting label, Leonna Mayer New House Celebration Handicap Hurdle. It's not a vanity project, I hear from Leonna Mayer. It's an admirer of hers, I think, sponsoring a race after the fact that she's moved house, which is frankly terrifying. So there you go. Sam Turner did say that perhaps he's got a new lawnmower, so one day we could have the Sam Turner new lawnmower handicap chase.
Yeah, the trouble is I've got to find an admirer, Tom.
Yeah.
Not in plentiful supply, unfortunately.
Yeah, maybe somebody that really likes lawnmowers, if it's a nice lawnmower, and then they could, jump on that bandwagon. Anyway,
you're more than welcome to go and see my lawn as well.
Well, thank you. Very good. Yeah. Come and see Sam's freshly trimmed lawn. Anyway, Planned Paradise is 5.0. Milado is 6.0. As is Pittsburgh. Midnight Callisto, who has cheap pieces off the first one, is 7.0. Rectory Oak is 11.0. I mean, like much of the Wincanton races, they're relatively difficult to decipher. There are a lot of runners, all in bar one race, and it's not easy. We've got 4 different horses that have gone up here. Go on, Sam. I'll come straight back to you. You like Midnight Callisto? No problem.
Yeah. What a smashing race this is. Yeah, it is it's low key stuff, but there's 2 horses in here that I think can leave their respective marks behind in time. I think Planned Paradise, now they've found a way to ride him, or they found a way to ride him when he halved in price, which is a real coincidence sometimes. I've noticed that. He was very aggressively ridden at Newcastle, dropped in trip for his handicap debut off a mark of just 93. He's now got up to 104, but I think that's justified, really. He was very impressive that day. The second horse has been pummeled out of sight since, which is a bit disconcerting, but I do think he's a fair starting point in this race, and I wouldn't be surprised if he goes off short enough. But I'd take a bit of a chance with Midnight Callisto, because I'm surprised they put the cheap pieces on, because I don't think there was any lack of concentration from her at Taunton. I just thought she got beat by a nice horse in Lime Drop, who was on the crest of a wave, running under a penalty and bolted up. But the 2 of them came a mile clear from the third. She clearly goes well on a right-handed track. She's a pretty handy horse, copes with some cut in the ground. The stable have found a bit of form. Ben Godfrey knows her well. I think she's a little bit better than a 105. So hopefully she can go well here at a sort of each way win and place type of price. And in a trappy race, I'll certainly take a Running Well and fill in the frame.
That is Midnight Callisto, who, yes, 7.0, very much qualifies for a win and place bet with a 14-runner field currently. Nats.
Yeah, I can see that. I looked a little bit at Midnight Callisto, class horse in the race, really, but I think she's been disappointing. Never really lived up to her bumper form. She was third in that listed mare's bumper at Market Raising. So I think it's fair to say she's been slightly disappointing, but as Sam said, it doesn't. I think she is above that mark of 105. So I can see the appeal, to be fair. Milado keeps getting beat, but should hit the frame. So then I came back to Planned Paradise, who is my pick in this. Good win last time at Newcastle. Handicap day was 14 runners in this. On Saturday, there was 11 at Newcastle, so field size is fine. Still pretty unexposed, but then you've kind of got to look at the weight giving away to Pittsburgh. It's £22. It's massive, isn't it? When Pittsburgh landed that gamble at Catterick. But then it was a good gamble to land because Pittsburgh didn't show a jot before Catterick. So clearly the gamble's been landed. The wind up has worked. So I'm kind of in between two here, Pittsburgh and Planned Paradise. Like I say, that weight's massive, isn't it? £22. But I'm still going to side with Planned Paradise because when a gamble is landed like that with Pittsburgh, I'm not convinced it's going to do it again for me to even entertain that it's going to run again to that form. So yes, Planned Paradise, but it's not the easiest of races, to put politely. It's 0 to 105 handicap, isn't it? Realistically, it's difficult.
It's tricky. I think that's fair to say. I'll just jump in next because you mentioned my selection, which is Pittsburgh. Your selection, Planned Paradise, does head the betting at 5.0, and Pittsburgh is a point bigger. Look, it could have been the wind up and the tongue tie going on last time that made all the difference. But I suspect it was also the fact that there was quite a lot of money on Pittsburgh and was really well supported. Ryan Potter has shown that he's pretty shrewd character. Miss Alice Stevens rode the horse last time. Kevin Brogan takes over here. That's also going to be a plus. We know he's well worth his 3. I think the ability, one point is the ability to handle some cut is no bad thing because, I mean, there's a fair bit of rain knocking around Wincanton-wise. Plenty of horses, I think, we've got big fields because there'll be plenty of horses going to Wincanton traditionally looking for decent ground, which you can get there. It's currently, I think, good to soft at the moment, but it could easily ease. That was just a concern I had for some of them in there. One of them being Milado. But I thought Pittsburgh, up £6 for last time, won just by a neck, but he's clearly better than that. I absolutely take the point that when they're gambled on and they win off the back of showing pulled up, beaten 100 lengths, pulled up and then win, it's a worry as to whether they're going to do it again. But I find it hard to see a reason why he won't necessarily give his running. It's not as if it's a much deeper race.
No.
Not too worried going back in trip. So it would be a small win and place probably at 6.0. And he travelled really well over further last time. I don't think coming back in trip will be a problem. Sorry, Nats, were you going to say something else?
No, I was going to say, for those of you that really trust the weather app on your iPhone, but it does say right now it's like 100% rain. Wincanton today, 90% tomorrow, and a full day's rain on Saturday. So I'm not saying this weather forecast is absolutely accurate, but if you do look at it like that, then there's going to be plenty more water on the way.
I put my faith in the BBC.
That's the best.
It's been BBC weather, but that says lots of rain as well. Adele, I'm interested. Not in. Well, no, go on. Where do you get your weather information, Adele?
Where do I get it? It's off my iPhone.
Do you use the app as well? I
remember where I was the other day, and I said it's going to rain at 1 o'clock, and they're like, it was really sunny. I was like, no, my phone said it's going to rain at 1, but it didn't. So
yeah, I find that's not very accurate. Who do you fancy in this race? More importantly,
to be honest, I think it's a winnable race for either of these if they put the best foot forward. I just thought some of the ones that have got winning form in the race, it's not great. So I'm gone for Noble Savage, who I don't think stayed 2 miles 4 last time out. So I think back down in trip. They've obviously got a claimer on board, Finn Lambert. I don't know much about him. I know he's had a winner. He takes £10 off him as well. So look, I just think it's a winnable race for either of them. I presume he's a big price. I'll be playing him at the place market. Prior to him not staying 2 mile 4, he was placed in a couple of Class 5 handicaps, finishing second twice. The race at Lingfield actually form isn't too bad. There's been a winner or two out of it. So just the fact that he's back down in trip with £10 off his back, surely she'll see him lose that maiden tag.
At 13.0 as well, so a fair price, win and place, yeah. That is the Leonna Newhouse. Congratulations, Leonna, Handicap hurdle. We're going to go back to Sandown now and move to the 150, which is 1 mile 7.5 furlongs. Handicap chase, Class 2 contest, decent races as well. Gunsight Ridge heads the betting, unsurprisingly, based upon finishing 6 lengths behind L'Homme Pressé, who was an excellent winner last week. 3.0, Numitor is 7.0, Moonlighter is 9.0, as is Up the Straight, 10.0 for Van Doren, 13.0 Monsieur Lecoq, and Paddy's Poem is also 13.0. We I've got a little bit of agreement here. Numitor for Adele and Natalie. So Adele, you can make the case first.
Well, I mean, I can see why Gunsight Ridge is the favourite, obviously bringing that L'Homme Pressé, is it form? However you say him. Up in the straight, I did quite like him, but I just think Numitor's proven himself now at this level. I think I can't see why he wouldn't give another good account for himself at Newbury. He was given £7 to the winner that day. So I think if he can get his own way out in front, I think he is better if he can get his own way out in front. Newbury didn't. So I thought if he could, I think he's what price was he?
He is 7.0.
7.6. I think he's a great price at that for a horse that is showing that he's holding himself well at this level. I think he's a cracking price. You know what Gunsight Ridge has been beaten favourite the last 4 occasions. Would you really want to be going in on him?
I would, is my best bet of the day, but that's a good question, Adele.
Sorry, Tom.
It's all right. Go on, continue the Numitor case, please, Natalie.
Yeah, so
I'll come in with.
Oh, I'm sorry, I wouldn't be going in on a horse that's been beaten.
Yeah,
favourite 4 times. So Numitor for me. Natalie, I know you like him as well.
Well, I mean, it's exactly the same with you. It's not just the beaten favourite last 4 times. I think that with Gunsight Ridge, I think, Tom, you could, when the penny drops properly, I can see the talent and ability of this horse. What bothers me is he does jump well. Interesting to see him over the railway fences. I don't think he sees his races out particularly well at the moment, whether that is a case of the penny needs to drop. But I don't like that. I think he can be a bit keen. We've seen him a bit free. So still, like, I don't know, just too much to come together for me. Whereas Numitor, exactly what Adele said, has got a bit of more. He's a swashbuckling grey, isn't he? How can you not go for a striking grey? But he's got loads of size and scope about him. And I really like that, and particularly at Sandown, when it takes a fair bit of jumping. And not only just jumping, for me, Sandown's all about rhythm, isn't it? Rhythm. You've got to get into that good rhythm. He's just the type to keep improving, really. He's a 5 or 6 week break. Goes on heavy going. I mean, one win was at Foss Lass on soft. Wouldn't have been soft though, would it really? Wouldn't have, would it? It would have been really soft. Tom Skoo knows him well, excellent jockey. And yeah, I'm really keen on Numitor. Sorry, Tom. But I can see your light with Gunsight Ridge, but there's just a few things that go against it for me where I think Numitor is just a bit more polished article.
All right. Well, so Gunsight Ridge, I thought ran really well last time, obviously finishing not too far behind L'Homme Pressé, who was comfortable, but probably saw it out better than Gunsight Ridge, was a stronger stayer at that trip. Gunsight Ridge runs off £3 higher. He was getting £1 off L'Homme Pressé on that occasion. He's won twice since and now rated 154, having been 128. I know that the trainer went there. He was 15-8 favourite. Or, I'll do decimals every now and again. But Gunsight Ridge, his trainer went there pretty sure he'd win that. and was surprised at how well he was beaten. I think somebody pointed out that the third has been disappointing since, which was Longshanks, and that is, it's a worthy point. Dave, thanks for that. I know you said that, but I just think he could. It's not just hearing from the trainer. It's very easy to make the case that he's incredibly well treated Gunside Ridge. I think the drop back to 2 miles will be absolutely fine on testing enough ground. He has been placed on heavy. His last win came on good. It was all about chasing with this horse. He was probably a bit disappointing on his first start at Aintree, where he looked as though he probably wanted a little bit further. He just travelled really well last time. I am very willing to have another go. He'd be the horse I'm most confident about on the day. Sam.
Yeah, my ears pricked up then when Natalie was on about a swashbuckling grey. I thought, well, maybe
it's you. Have you seen this?
Yeah, he's interesting racist. Yeah, well, send that my way, Natalie. Send that my way.
Natalie is holding up a Silver Fox mug. Well, I should point out to everyone on the
Need to get one of those.
Because my husband's grey, so I'll buy you one, Sam.
Thank you. Might be the only cup I win for a while. I thought this was a really intriguing race. I could certainly see the case for Gunside Ridge stepping back in trip. I think this race should be absolutely run to suit him as well. Good gallop on, couple of front runners in the race. There's no excuses for me. The worry and the concern is that he's been made favourite. Was it 5 of the last 6 times? And he's only won one of those races, and that was beating away at Dawn on good ground at Doncaster. So he really has got a bit to prove for me. I take on board your point, Tom. I think he's probably one of the more talented in the field. I'm crying out for a third place here. I would be all over Paddy's Poem win and place if there was 3 places, because I think he's got a great chance. He was second in the race last year. His stats over fences at Sandown read 2-2-3. Very consistent horse. Goes well fresh. James Davis only been out the frame once on him in 10 starts or 10 rides on him. So, incredible consistent record, and that was in the Paddy Power Plate at Cheltenham, which wouldn't have been his bag at all. Back right-handed, back fresh. Nick Gifford's horses, for some reason, seem to run particularly well at this track. I can't work out why that would be, but they've, Balagas runs well here. This lad runs well. So I think there's plenty of positives to like. I think his price 13.0. If there was three places, I'd be all over it each way, and he'd be close to being my best bet win and place of the day. But as it is, there's 7 runners. Unfortunately, we can't have everything in this life, can we?
No, would you still go win and place?
I think I'd have to, just because he's so consistent, and he was second in the race, beating a length last year, first time off the shelf. I know he's a bit older, but you look at his record, I think he's only had like 15, 16 starts. He's obviously a bit fragile, been difficult to train. But he's chased home Moonlight around here. He's chased home Iblio, John Beebe. He's got some really good solid efforts here, and I think they've probably targeted this race with him as well. So that's another positive.
For a joint outside of the fields, you can see the selection scrolling across the bottom of the screen there if you're watching on YouTube. Great production. That is. Thank you, Dan.
Certainly really gone up a gear. Certainly gone up a gear, hasn't it, Tom? Since DC got banned, it's definitely gone up a gear.
I agree. Yeah, and Sully who? Exactly. He's watching today. Hi. So that is the 150 at Sandown done. We move back to Wincanton to the 205, 1 mile, 7.5 furlongs for a handicap chase. It's a class 3 contest, decent one as well. Beldermanic is 4.33, 6.5 for Casatal. Destelil is 6.5, 8.0 for Grey Diamond. Then we get into the double figures. Another decent sized field here with 10 going to post. A little bit of agreement on the podcast as well. It's 2 corners really, Beldermanic and Grey Diamond. Adele, you can make the case for Grey Diamond first of all.
Yeah, well, he's been running well enough in defeat. He looks like he's knocking on the door. The weight, the hefty weight was a little bit of a worry, but Jack Tudor's taking off that £3 allowance. On his return, he ran well in a listed race. Wasn't a bad run last time out at Newbury either. So I just think he's consistent enough to back at this level for me. Personally, with a couple of others I had questions about. Belle de Marche, she's an obvious one to pick with her course and distance form last month. She's gone up £10 for that. I know she's got a good record at Sandown as well. But I don't think it'll be long before Grey Diamond is back in the winners enclosure. Whether or not it's Saturday, still do keep an eye on him, but I'm hoping it is on Saturday.
And in agreement with you is Sam with Grey Diamond.
Yeah, just has run in 2 very strong races. Goes very well right-handed. Sam Thomas obviously on the crest of a wave at the moment with the Welsh national winner. Like Jack Tudor as a booking as well. He rides, quite a few little job horses around here for Christian Williams, so knows the track well, rides it particularly well. I just thought it was a very fair win and place bet, really. I know he's got plenty of weight, but that doesn't really bother me. If the ground went heavy, that wouldn't be a concern either, because he chased home Balagas on heavy ground at Sandown. So I think he should run well. Beldermanek, I think there's something like 15, 20 mil of rain Wincanton could get between now and Saturday. So that would probably play to her strengths, because she's obviously stepping back in trip. Just wonder, going against males and in open company here, she got the run of the race a little bit last time. I know it was a really good performance, first time in a handicap, and she travelled really well. But they went pretty strong gallop early doors, thanks to Precious Eleanor and also Harry Fries, and it just sort of set it up for her, setting off the pace a little bit. I just wonder whether she was a little bit, I don't know, whether the margin of victory was exaggerated by the way she was ridden that day. She got a good ride from Rex Dingle, who gets on well with her. So I'd probably just take her on at a shortest price and probably plump for Grey Diamond, who's a class horse stepping back in grade, really.
All right, well, Nats and I are with Beldermanek, and you can make the case first of all, Natalie.
Yeah, I haven't got a lot more to add, because it was obvious to be. It's a bit weird, isn't it? I've gone for Beldermanek because Grey Diamond, of course, was beaten by Numitor. So my tip of the other ones, if Numitor wins, then it kind of all goes together nicely, doesn't it? So, but I'm a massive fan of replays, and my goodness, if you just watch a replay of Beldermanek, it's not really the distance that she won. Her ears were completely pricked. She loved it. She was really spring-heeled at the last, which I love to see, because to me, that suggests that she wasn't totally, what's a polite word? You shouldn't say knackered. My mum always said you shouldn't say the word knackered. But she wasn't, she still had some lovely enthusiasm, exuberance about her at the last fence. And I just love that on Chase debut. Like I say, really spring-heeled, quickened away nicely. And also, I've got a thing, if you've got a mare with a good attitude, they take some pegging back, these mares. I'm telling you, a proper tenacious mare. And I just thought the partnership was great with Rex Dingle. Ridden her plenty. What is he, 21% last 14 days? Anthony Honeyball's 33%. So it's kind of like tick, tick, tick. I do agree with Sam. I do think the race slightly fell apart and she pretty much got it her way. But just that replay with the rain forecast, yeah, I think she's the winner.
Yeah, she was really impressive. I thought it's a small stakes win bet for me at 4.33. Not getting excited about this race. I was tempted by Venetia Williams' horse, Destilil, as well, just on account of handling the ground. As we've said, there is a lot of rain forecast at Wincanton, but she was really good last time. Back in trip with rain on the way, I don't think it'll be a problem. And she just likes she's got the track form. So I remember when she beat Rose of Arcadia in the novice hurdle, it's worked out okay for all Rose of Arcadia. I think she's decent. She hasn't set the world alight. She clearly likes a bit of cut. She clearly likes the track. And on the face of it, a £10 rise wouldn't seem too harsh for that performance. I hope they go quick on testing ground. They should do. I think she'll be ridden just in behind. Grey Diamond, I don't think could be too far away. I hope something else is up there to keep in company as well. So it does turn into a bit of a test. Majestic Merlin probably won't be too far away. Yeah, small stakes, Beldermanek for me. Two different corners for that with Grey Diamond and Beldermanek. Right, on to the 3 o'clock at Sandown. Now we've done the Tolworth. If you're joining in for that, apologies. We've already done it. And looks like this for the Montague. Oh no, we've got to do the 240. Of course we do. Montague.
Tom. You scared
Sorry,
me.
everyone. 240 at Wincanton, which is over 2 miles 5.5. It is a handicap hurdle class 3 contest, and Blair Gowrie for James Byrne and Nicky Henderson 6.0. 13 in this. 6.0 is Crossing the Bar. Apple Rock is 8.0, as is Mr. Sweets 9.0 for Earth Business. 9.5 Get a Lead. Bigger prices off the back of that. Right, let's go to Sam, first of all, because you like the horse at the top of the betting.
Yeah, it's rather uninspirational, Tom, I'm afraid. But Blair Gowrie would put my teeth in, would be the one for me. Just comes out of a good race, I think, at Uttoxeter, won by Get a Tonic. I know that horse let the form down a little bit next time out, but nothing to ask us one since the runner-up. There's also a victory down the card as well for Here Comes Henry. So I think it's an above-average novice hurdle lad at Uttoxeter, off 112 as well. I mean, you look at the comeback run as well behind Bombs Away, who's a horse that's held in quite high regard by your mate Ollie Murphy. So there are, good positives there. He's lightly raced. He's taking on a number of, well-travelled and weary travellers, the likes of JPEG and Dan McGrew. I've got a bit of respect for Get a Lead. I think Claire Harris has done exceptionally well with him, but whether he can keep coming to the races and peaking or not is open to question. Had quite a busy autumn and then a little bit of a break, and I'm never quite mad on those type of horses that have to come back and peak again. So I'll just take a chance with Blair Gowrie. I don't think it's the bet of the day by any stretch of the imagination, but been quite highly tried in novice hurdles this year, and 112 doesn't seem too punitive a mark for me.
I felt similarly with the second, the betting Crossing the Bar, who's making a handicap debut off 108 off the back of a fair effort at Foss last time on testing ground. And the fact that he's handled that sort of ground, I thought was a big plus. 108, I could make a case that it was a fair enough mark. Handle cut on the flat, which should translate pretty well to handling a good bit of cut over the jumps. And he's just turned 5. So I thought there should be plenty of upside. It'd be small win and place at 6.0, the same price as Blair Gowrie. And then in agreement with Mr. Sweets, Natalie and Adele. Go on, Natalie, you take it away first of all.
Take it away. Well, yeah, I was like umming and ahhing. I think it will go to Neil Mulholland. I just think Adele and I hope we've picked the right one with Mr. Sweets. Won a Market Raiser in November. He's one thing to say about him is a really big, sturdy chasing type. So I know this is a hurdle race, but he does definitely look more the chaser to me, if I'm completely honest. But he's off 10-12 under Richie McLaren, and Richie, as we know, knows what he's doing, very experienced. Weatherby last time, he appeared to not stay, and I do think that is fair, but it was the extended 3 miles. So if that's the case, and he didn't stay the extended 3 miles, I think that he's still really well handicapped at this shorter trip. So I tried to look at it on that angle, and that was enough for me to side with Mr. Sweets over Golden Emblem, which I did also have to have a look at. And then I was going to have a little mention Apple Rock, which is a crazy out there tip that I just wondered for Ben Pauling. Can Apple Rock bounce back slightly? Amazing this, isn't it? In 2018, he was second to Shishkin in a point-to-point. How cool is that? Little fact for you. They've kind of taken slightly different career paths, those two horses.
Just a bit.
Just a little bit. I thought it was really interesting. But no, disappointing last time out at Leicester. Wasn't so bad at Cheltenham the time before, ran okay. Yes, he needs to bounce back. Wanted to mention it for our punters, just in case, he's
shortened up. So they're now the same price, Apple Rock and Mr. Sweets. So would that change? You'd be keener on Mr. Sweets at at that price 8.0? I
didn't realise that. I'd definitely be keen on Mr. Sweets, definitely. Okay. I just, when you have to say it, I was intrigued by Apple Rock, and I've gone back to it about 3 times. So I'd kick myself if I didn't say it. But tip-wise, Mr. Sweets.
And Adele, you agree and have another pup as well?
Yeah, to be honest, it's not a betting race for me. I must have gone through this race for a good 45 minutes. And
you're pumped for Wincanton, aren't you, Adele? You are.
I even let Charlotte pick a few of these because I thought it was one of those you could just literally stick a dart in it. Yeah, they were the tricky races. So I generally in these kind of races, I would stick to horses that are running well consistently, even in defeat, which is why I just wanted to give a little mention to Golden Emblem. And then Mr. Sweets didn't stay at Weatherby last time out. It's a big galloping track, and as Nat said, it was the extended 3 miles. He travelled well enough, and he just found absolutely nothing after the last hill. So prior to that, his win at Market Raisin, down in trip, so that's obviously a positive for him. So and at the prices, he's not too bad. So you can play him at the place market as well. And I think Golden Emblem's big enough price as well. Both running consistently well at this level. So hard not to give them both a mention at them prices.
Mr. Sweets and the main one for Adele Golden Emblem as well. Right, I'm going to tell you about the sign-up offer. It is the £20 welcome offer with Matchbook. It is for new customers only. It's money back as cash if your first bet loses. It's for new customers only, as I said. You've got to use the bonus code INSIGHTSRF. Those are the letters RF, Romeo Foxtrot, INSIGHTSRF for the sign-up offer. If you place your first bet and it loses, you get your stake back as cash. Full terms and conditions on the Matchbook website. That is for new customers only, but a very worthwhile £20 welcome offer with money back as cash if your first bet loses. And we kick on to the Veterans Chase, the 3 o'clock at Sandown. Really interesting races with 13 going forward. ASO at the top of the betting at 4.0. Final Nudge is next in 7.0. Wandering Star, course and distance winner last time 9.0. Sir Ivan 11.0. 12s for Rolling Dylan. And we go on and on through the bigger prices. Not a huge amount of agreement in here. Well, there is a bit of ASO love. Sam.
Yeah, it's just a class horse, isn't he? I mean, he beat Black Lion. Finished second to Black Lion, who's come out and won since to enhance that form. He's just running some tremendous races through his career, really, and this sort of series of races should be absolutely tailor-made for him. I tried to find a reason why I couldn't see him winning, and I couldn't really. It shouldn't really matter what the ground is. The track is okay right-handed, comes from a yard that do exceptionally well in this type of race. I think you've got to have a saver on him. Whatever you back in the race, I think you've got to have a little bit on him. I know people will point to his weight and whatever, but he's just a class horse. You know, he was nearly pushing a 160 horse not that long ago. So in a handicap here against a load of old boys like me, you know, you'd imagine that he's got to be really competitive. I also like Wandering Star as well, because he just looks as though he's been saved for the race. We haven't seen him for 2 months since he won and outstayed Dancing Shadow and Gwen City Burbus here a couple of months ago, as I say. I think he's only been beaten once when he's been rested for more than 5 months, and that's 4 starts as well. So he clearly goes well when he's undercooked. Goes well right-handed as well. Got loads of good form right-handed, and I think he was worth playing as well at sort of 9.0. I think that's quite a generous price, really, for a horse that looks as though he's been specifically targeted at this race. So I'll take the 2 instead of backing one each way. I'll back them both win and Dutch them probably.
ASO Wandering Star in the win market for Sam. Natalie agrees with ASO and has got one other.
Yeah, I do. And I love this. I absolutely love this race. I love the veterans races. I hope, you know, if Benisha's watching, if I could maybe have ASO one day, I'd like to have him. Really would like to have him. I absolutely adore this horse. He's awesome. I'm going to back ASO to win. And I'm also going to be brave. And I'm going to back Rolling Dylan to win. So I'm going to have 2 in this. Rolling Dylan, he's interesting to me because he's been rejuvenated. He's had a year pointing. See it with many horses. They might go trail hunting, they might go point to pointing. Works sometimes, doesn't always work, but it seems to be working okay with Rolling Dylan. First runs of rules since March 2020. He was second in a qualifier for this race. That was back in October at Aintree. So he's well prepped. I think he put up a bold bid, and I just think Rolling Dylan and ASO, I reckon I've got it pretty well covered in this. I do. I've got faith. I think I've nailed it with those 2.
Rolling Dylan is 12.0. 11.0 for Michael Nolan and Philip Hobbs. Right, Adele, just the one for you?
Yeah, I listen, who doesn't like ASO? But purely on the weight, really. I think it was the weight concession probably got the better of him against Black Lion. So I've gone for Final Nudge, who won at Warwick on his return. That was on his 3rd run for Fergal O'Brien. When we last seen him before that, he was 3rd in the Midlands National. So he's clearly in good heart. Form's working out okay from Warwick. The 3rd has gone on and won since. He's only gone up £3 for that. So just a little bit more attractive at the weights, really, for me with Final Nudge. You know, ASO's carrying nearly a stone more. So I just think he's clearly in good heart. That's only his 3rd run for Fergal O'Brien, so I think he's still open to not improvement, as in like, you know, are any of these veterans open to improvement? No, but they, you know, while they're in good heart and clearly still enjoying themselves, that's when I like to kind of jump on board. So I'm going for him. I still think there might be just a little bit more to come from him since he's been joining Fergal O'Brien. He's obviously got the key to him anyway.
And I'm chancing Dashing Perk, Win and Place, probably level split stakes, Win and Place, Dashing Perk at 17.0, who was also in that Black Lion race, but didn't get too far. And, was ultimately very disappointing. That was off the back of a break. He has gone well off the back of a break, but I suppose the key here is that he's a course winner. And I think he wants to go this way around. He was... It's hard to say that he definitely gets 3 miles because he hasn't won over it. But he's not tried it too often, and he does. Aintree a few years ago, I thought he looked as though he wanted to go back over 3. So I think he's worth chancing at the prices. The ground is definitely a plus. There's lots of pace on, and he's probably one of them. So I don't know. Maybe he wants to lead. I'm not sure. And he might sulk if he doesn't. Maybe that was the issue last time. But he is a fairly treated horse who's a course winner, and he will handle the ground. And maybe he needed that run last time, or needed an outing just to get him towards being back and race fit. So there's a lot of ifs, but he's 17.0, and I'd rather be paying at that end of the market in this race than right at the top of it.
Tom, can I just say, I agree with you. He was very much on my short list as well. I think you can sometimes get some great value if you can throw out 1 or 2 of these runs for these old horses, especially first time back when they pull up like that. They're often a throwaway run, and if you can build a case for them on the previous bits of form, you've got to take it on trust that at 11 he's going to be somewhere near how good he was at 10. But like you say, Wincanton, Sandown are his best runs. He goes very well in January. Just because he's got a P next to his name, you see it day in, day out, don't you? With staying chasers and whatever, they completely blow out and then bounce back. They're a bit like sprinters on the flat, really. So I totally see where you're coming from with him.
Good. I'll take that. I'm going to take that as a plus, Sam. 17.0. A lot of ifs, but we'll see how he goes. The 3:15 last race at Wincanton we're covering over 2.5. This is a handicap chase. Stolen Silver, another one for Sam Thomas and Jack Tudor, is 3.5. 4.5 for Mondes Avoire. Killer Clown has got a tongue tie on for the first time at 5.5. Slate House is 6.0. Notch Paris for Ollie Murphy is 9.0. And the Cattle Don is 26.0, outsider of the bunch. Let's go to Natalie first of all, just because you've gone with a favourite of mine, which is Slate House. Well, I don't trust him anymore, but you're with Slate House.
I wouldn't. I was going to start it with my crazy bet, but not so crazy for you, obviously. But I really tried to think about this race, genuinely tried to think about it. 6 runners, I thought, I don't have a huge opinion. But then actually, the more I looked into it, Slate House has to fascinate me returning to fences because he's always been a better chaser than a hurdler. I'm hoping this is quite cleverly campaigned. I'm praying this is going to pull off for me. We actually only saw him twice over fences in 2021. He's been beaten well over hurdles the last 3 starts, if you look back through the form. But on soft ground, back over fences, off a mark of 134, if repeating the form of his run in this last year, when he was 3rd of 150, I just think, is this not just screaming like pick me, pick me? Honestly, I've looked through it, and I just thought he's 10, and yes, you can't always trust him, but I don't know. I think this could be a very good race for this horse. Like I said, 3rd in it, and if he can recoup that and off such a lower mark, I think he's got every chance and a good price.
Yeah, not a bad price. He's got the blinkers on for the first time. Worried about the Tizzards going into a quieter patch, but they had a winner again the other day. He is 6.0. Sam Turner?
Yeah, I'd be putting my faith in the blinkers, I think, with Slate House. He was about as trustworthy as my first girlfriend, to be honest. But anyway, I'm nearly as old. Stolen Silver for me. I'll take Stolen Silver in this race. He charged home, didn't he, in the Henry VIII at Sandown, as he often does over 2 miles. He's just a bit tripless, this horse, unfortunately. But when he's good, he's very good. And I tend to just tip horses that are trained by blokes with the same name as me: Sam Allwood, Sam Drinkwater, Sam Thomas. So
not the worst.
It's not a bad little system. And, I just thought he shaped as if he still retains all his enthusiasm. He really went across the line quite strongly at Sandown. All right, he was in the backwash of an incredibly impressive performance from Edwardstone. But, the balance of his other form is very good as well. The Cheltenham run behind Editor de Gite, that's backed up quite nicely. Goes well right-handed, the win at Market Raisin. Yet again, the class horse in the race, got plenty of weight, but Jack Tudor employed again. Just push all my chips in on the Sam Thomas Yard this weekend.
I was just trying to think of other Sams. Sorry, that's all I'm trying to do. There's got to be some more Sam trade. Anyway, Adele.
Oh, another tricky race. I've gone for.
I think you're working for the Wincanton PR department this weekend.
Yeah. And I even said, get rid. The program book needs just like scrapping. So many of them. What it is, some of these races are so unattractive because there's so many of them around that. Do you know, like we end up with small fields, and because there'll be a similar race on next weekend, the weekend after, and even through the week. So some of these races are just kind of quite unattractive from a betting point of view. That's just me having a little bit of a moan. So I've gone for Montes Avalois, is it?
Easy for you to say.
Yeah, that was not easy for me to say in my strong Yorkshire accent.
That's why I went with Sterling Silver, Adele.
I don't think anything's gone right for this horse since he went chasing. He kept moving up the weights, even though he was getting beat, and he fell he fell on his first run back at the last. So, but he probably would have been second. I presume the plan will be for him to get from A to B, and try and probably get a little bit of confidence back after that fall. But he's been placed at graded level, so I can't see why, if he doesn't get round and get from A to B, I can't see why he won't run a big race, and I don't think he's badly priced. So I'm going to stick with him, and hopefully he'll stay up on all four legs and run well.
Good job, Canadian trainer Sam Di Pasquale doesn't have a runner here, or of course Sam wouldn't know what to do. I am going to go for it's a dangerous shout with Killer Clown because he's been disappointing, but it's sort of back to trying to get up the cliff with him. So I've had a few goes at him. He was disappointing last time. He's run well at Newbury, but he was disappointing there last time when jumping to his right. So I'm hoping going back this way will help. Maybe the tongue tie will be just what he wants. Bit of cut is no bad thing, and he is fairly treated off 135. I'm sure he's a better horse than that, but he was a bit disappointing last time when they tried cheap pieces. So again, he's another horse you have to forgive a poor run. But look, this is in calmer waters than I think in the last couple of starts anyway, as far as the depth of the race goes. So Killer Clown, small stakes. Back we go to Sandown, and I've got to get the page up now because I was searching Sam's on the Racing Post. It's just unprofessional, isn't it? It's just apologies, everyone.
How good though has it been for Sam Drinkwater though? He's just flying. It's awesome. It's so nice to see it when people are in full swing.
And Sam Allwood as well. Both of them have had, very, very good. They both proved to be pretty savvy trainers with small strings, to be honest. So
well, Sam Allwood would be in the middle of us, wouldn't he? In Shropshire, from Cheshire, from me to Sam, from you to Sam, would be in the middle. Yeah,
and I think Sam Drinkwater might be Worcester as well, so they're quite local.
Yeah. Thank you both for the very useful segue while I could get the page back up on the Sams. That was just brilliant teamwork. Thank you. 3:35 then is over 2 miles handicap hurdle. Hermes Boy, can he deliver at 4.0? Hey. Thank you. Matt the Man 5.0. Natural History 6.0. Volkovka is 7.0. Good races. 11.0 for Navajo Pass. Zambezi fixed 12.0. Steve Jones put up a massive price on this podcast a few starts ago with second to Samarive. Hydroplane McGowan's past the outsiders of the bunch. Adele, take it away.
Okay, 5-year-olds got good records in this race, so I couldn't quite decide between Hermes Boy and Volkovka. Is that right? So I'm going to go with her. I think she's probably just bumped into what looked like a strong stayer last time out at Sandown, and she was actually giving the winner plenty of weight as well. But I don't think it was a bad run, especially after her going up £9 for winning at Carlisle. So that was over 2 miles before. She's back down in trip, so She's been placed at listed level. I like her. I think there's a lot to like about her. So I'm going to have her on side, and hopefully it'll be her 5-year-old's good records in the race.
And Sam couldn't decide, I don't think, between the two either. So between Hermes Boy and Volkovka, how are you playing it, Sam?
Yeah, I saw Hermes Boy in the flesh at Worcester behind I Like to Move It, who I think is rated 138 now. But for hanging and being delivered late, to use your analogy, I think he would have been a bit closer as well. So off a mark of 124, now they've worked out to go right-handed and ride him a bit more aggressively. He does scream out as quite a nicely handicapped individual. The only problem is Chester Williams isn't quite Steve Coulthon in the front running stakes yet. I think he's improving this year, but he previous to that, his judgment of pace, he's improving at it. Let's leave it at that. So
he's got a decent strike rate.
Well, he's riding some really nice horses, Tom, to be honest. And he is improving as a rider, no doubt about it. You know, he looked quite agricultural a year or two back, but he's getting a lot better. So, everyone's entitled to improve. I'm still hoping to. So he's, he's sitting on some very nice horses, and this lad included, because I think he's quite a talented individual. As I say, he was hanging right a little bit at Bangor and Worcester. So going right-handed at Exeter. Dubrovnik Harry's come out that race and won. So there's already been an enhancement in the form. So I think he's sort of top of my shortlist. But I find it really difficult to she's an enticing mare to back here, Volkovka, because she goes very well at the track. She ran well here behind Scirocco's Dream. She's stepping back in trip. There looks the possibility of being a good, genuine, honest pace here, which will suit Paddy Brennan, who'll just sit out the back, probably lose an iron at the last and then come through and win. So, she's very much a horse that I'd be interested in as well. So I'll probably have a split stakes approach or make perhaps Hermes Boy the main selection and have a favour on Volkovka. That's how I'll play. Long-winded way of explaining.
The strong pace, I think, will suit Matt the Man. So that's who I came down on, who should be hopefully smuggled into it. Best form comes going this way on testing ground and course and distance winner as well. He's won a good race here over this course and distance in the past without really going on for it. I think he's still fairly treated. And I think a lot could set up for him at 5.0. Natalie?
Yeah, same as you, Matt the Man. I can absolutely see the appeal with the mare, Volkovka. I really can. Matt the Man, fabulous owners, the Ruckers. They have smart horses. They pay for their horses. They have good quality horses. Like you said, look, only £3 up from that seasonal return. That was at Exeter. Yes, he didn't win emphatically. What was it? Was it a neck or something? That was pretty tight, wasn't it? Matt the Man. But go back to 2019. Matt the Man beat Protectorat, Song for Someone. Like he's the second oldest in the race. He's 8 years old. Adam Wedge, and again, what a great jockey Wedge is. He really is. And Mac the Man, it's the one I've come down on. I can definitely see the appeal for the Fergal Brown mare. But I'm going to have to stick with my pick on Mac the Man. But do you know, as anyone, one thing with this horse, Natural History. I don't know, Sam, have you got anything on this? But it's a really good flat horse and promised to be quite a decent hurdler. What do you think's? He's not really shown his full potential. What do you think's going on with Natural History?
Well, he did when he was very well handicapped, and unfortunately, winning by a wide margin at Plumpton, saw him shoot up in the handicap, and he just hasn't been able to translate it. I wouldn't write him off just yet, and this is one track where Gary Moore does exceptionally well, so amongst others.
Yeah, no, I thought that. I just thought a little mention for Natural History, but Mac the Man.
I am with you. Right, best bets. Let's just go around. Quick word for your best bet. Adele, who is your best bet?
Oh, I'm not quite sure now, but it's Noble Savage. In the first race, we've previewed the 130, so hopefully I'm going to get everyone off to a winning start. Big price, so go place on that as well.
In the 130 at Wincanton, Noble Savage. Natalie, your best bet?
I'm going to go for an untrustworthy horse that's ran quite badly in the last 3 hurdle runs. The horse called Slit House, back over the fences on the soft ground. First time blinkers could be the key. Third in the race last year on a much higher mark. So Slate House is my bet of the day.
Sam Turner.
I'm going head to head with Nats Green. I'll do it. We know how this film ends, don't we? Stolen Silver for me in the 3:15, and an honourable shout for Paddy's Poem at Sandown. Sadly, I wanted a third place. Otherwise, he would have been the best bet.
And mine is The Good Thing, Gunsight Ridge. Sandown in the 150 wins for fun, or will do from this point forward. That's it. Hope you've enjoyed the Matchbook Betting podcast, all in under an hour, just about this week. Adele, Natalie, Sam, thank you very much indeed. Enjoy your weekends, everyone. Best of luck, whoever you play with. Bye-bye.